House unanimously passed my bill, H.R. 540, the Taiwan Non-Discrimination Act. This will support Taiwan's membership at the IMF, where the statehood is not a prerequisite to join the international organizations. And the IMF has no conditions where statehood is not a requirement. And as you know, Taiwan is already, it belongs to WTO and the Asian Development Bank. So if Taiwan seeks its membership at the IMF, would you support it?
Well, Taiwan has not expressed any interest in joining the IMF. This is not a decision that the United
With
States
all due respect,
government...
Secretary Yellen, that's why we passed the Taiwan Non-Discrimination Act. And we are hoping that you will work with us and fully support Taiwan's membership at the IMF. And obviously, it goes without saying the world would benefit from having the input and expertise of world's 21st largest economy. So I hope you will work with us. And the legislation is already passed out of the House.
Sure. I guess
Yes.
what I can say is that we have supported greater engagement between the IMF and Taiwan, even with Taiwan being a non-member.
Thank you.
We have urged
And I urge you
surveillance
to-
activities
yes.
and other IMF activities to work with Taiwan to include
Taiwan has
them.
indicated their expressed interest to join. So when that happens, I hope you will support that. So let me move on to the next question. Since this is something that I know Representative Garbarino mentioned this earlier, so I echo his comments. But to address the growing problem of indebtedness of low-income countries, G20 nations and the Paris Club agreed to the common framework with the CCP. So can you speak of any of your efforts to force the CCP to make its sovereign lending more transparent through the common framework?
So we have engaged thoroughly over a long period of time and deeply in every way we can with China to bring them to the table to participate actively in restructurings through the common framework. It's been frustrating, but I think that there has been some progress. We have urged the IMF, the World Bank, they've set up a sovereign debt roundtable in which it's a forum to discuss issues that China routinely raises that aren't really case-specific, but broader. And
Thank you.
I think we've made some progress there.
Thank
and
you.
there are several countries
Thank
where
you,
we have
Secretary.
achieved.
Let's continue to be more vigilant in making sure that like-minded countries and with our allies that we can force CCP to be more transparent. I'm going to move on to the next question. We cannot afford to cave into CCP demands that private creditors should be ignored in debt restructuring negotiations. There should be comparable treatment between public and private creditors. As you know, private capital is a powerful tool to counter the CCP's debt diplomacy. Earlier this year, the US and CCP launched the bilateral counter-narcotics working group to counter the manufacturing and trafficking of all illicit synthetic drugs. But I'm afraid that we are giving away some of our leverage by lifting some sanctions. And once again, we're yielding to the empty promises made by CCP officials. So can you tell us about the role of Treasury and your role in the working group?
Well, we participate in the Counter-narcotics working group, and Treasury has also, under the auspices of a financial working group we've established with our counterparts led by the People's Bank of China, an anti-money laundering forum where we're working on best practices and also relates to counter-narcotics. So we have seen China take some action against firms that are involved in producing
I know, Lee,
precursor
last year when
chemicals.
Xi Jinping and President Biden met, they also started the fentanyl working group and narcotics working group early this year. But we know from experience that we cannot solely rely on the commitments made by Xi Jinping and CCP officials. So I hope that you will do more to ensure that the CCP abides by the commitments that is established by working group. And I know you are participating, but please be more.
Yes, and
firm.
we've taken actions ourselves against Chinese firms on this.
Thank you. My time's up. I yield.
Janet Yellen,